Unum's origin explored, villain from She-Hulk. She-Hulk, attorney at law, is currently all the rage amongst Marvel fans as the show has been airing on Disney+. Jennifer Walters gets the spotlight on her for the first time within the world of live-action Marvel. And in this show, she is all set to go against the villain Titania, who will be played by Jameela Jamil and is one of the most terrifying villains who Jen has had to fight. This reminds us of another villain who seems to be absolutely unbeatable in terms of physical strength, especially due to their celestial physiology. We are talking about Unum. Created by Peter David and Mahmoud Asrar, Unum is a being who is an amalgamation of several supervillains. They also harbor the fury those villains had against their masters, who used them and then disposed of them. In this video, we will get into how Unum came to be and their interesting but complex origin. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Unum's backstory explored in detail. At first glance, Unum comes off as a very muscular female. And that's a possible assumption for the people to come up with, since the comic they appear in is centered around several female warriors. However, Unum is actually formed from the former armies of villains who exist within Marvel's universe. A popular example of such a villain would be Dormammu. They were created by the cosmic entity known as Enmity, but Enmity definitely did not have the best intention in mind while creating Unum. In fact, she had no particular intention at all, which made matters all the worse, especially for Unum. They appear in She-Hulk, the Cosmic Collision, as the antagonist. But all is not black and white here, thanks to Enmity's interference. But what can you expect from someone who has dated Mephisto in the past? To understand Unum better, we need to look into the story of She-Hulk, the Cosmic Collision. So let's get right into it. The comic begins with a scene in Planet Yor. We see a woman getting beaten up terribly by someone who is terrifyingly powerful, all while the narrator, which in this case is She-Hulk herself, talks about how hatred is the most prevalent thing in the world. She ponders upon why that prevalent thing is not love. But soon, she talks about how people commit some of the most heinous crimes in the name of love, which makes us question whether love is just an excuse that is being used as fuel for such negativity. The powerful being thrashes the woman, who asks her daughter to run. The daughter challenges the being to go through her before getting to her heroic mother. The being hears her and obliges as they kill them both and take off far, far away. That being is none other than Unum. Cut to Earth, a young man fights a lost battle while his entire platoon has been wiped out. His seconds are numbered, but the Asgardian warrior Valkyrie appears in front of him at the crucial moment. She acknowledges his honorable career and offers him her hand to take him to Valhalla. But before the desperate man can find solace in the majestic hall of the slain, Valkyrie weirdly disappears. The scene shifts to Milwaukee, where we finally get to see Jennifer Walters, or She-Hulk, alongside her bounty hunting partner Jacinda, with both of them working for Freeman Bonding Inc. They get their hands on a man named Max Farrell. Max has escaped prison since his daughter is getting married. He begs the bounty hunters to let him off for 3 days so that he can witness the wedding from afar. Jacinda even begins to consider it, while She-Hulk believes that supervillains always lie. But their small problem is soon encountered by a much bigger threat as Unum appears in front of them. Unum takes a majestic stance in front of them as they say, "In the name of enmity, in the name of justice, now you die." They also do not seem to be the least bit interested in Max Farrell. She-Hulk tries to reason with Unum, but Unum is not the type to sit and take Jennifer's bounty hunting business into consideration. They hit She-Hulk hard and far away, which is of great surprise to Shulky. Jacinda, the Skrull, with an incredible healing ability, tries to take on Unum but meets the same fate as her partner. Needless to say, they are both appalled by their opponent's strength. Both She-Hulk and Jacinda recover when Unum charges towards them with an attack. Jacinda notices the energy and recognizes that it is from the subspace, also known as the negative zone, which is the antimatter universe in Marvel. Jacinda volunteers to take the heat of the attack, since she cannot die from it due to her physiology. But when they're about to be hit with it, they suddenly disappear. Unum notices what caused the two women to disappear and calls out the interference of an elder, which refers to one of the oldest beings from Marvel's universe. She-Hulk and Jacinda find themselves in a room that they comically assume to be the afterlife following death. Jacinda confirms that they are not dead because if they were, Jacinda would not be present with her and instead come back to life. She-Hulk is not so sure about the Skrull being able to revive herself after an immense negative energy attack. So Jacinda suggests Shulky return to her human form. She then pinches her, which hurts She-Hulk, proving that they are both alive. They soon learn that they are not alone in this strange place, as they are joined by members of the Lady Liberators, to whom She-Hulk often lends her help. The Asgardian demigoddess Valkyrie, the Invisible Woman, or Sue Richards from the Fantastic Four, Mutant Ororo, popularly known as Storm, and Thundra, who hails from an alternate Earth that is ruled by women, appear before She-Hulk. Thundra hugs Jennifer after seeing her, but just as she's about to introduce them to Jacinda, Jen notices that her partner has disappeared. Jacinda finds herself in a Skrull ship, where she sees the Skrull Lyja, the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Gamora and Mantis, and finally, a new ally known as Quasar, who used to be a man and the son of Mar-Vell. A voice is suddenly heard in the room with She-Hulk and the others. The voice mentions how Jacinda has been relocated. The voice, being of a man, angers Thundra, but he mentions how he is in fact their savior. He even asks them to confirm it with She-Hulk, who is technically alive from Unum's attack just because he teleported her out of the blue. Jen tells them about Unum, and the voice confirms that this is not an opponent, but death personified. He says, "Not an opponent, the death of you all, the death of all women warriors." When Valkyrie asks for the reason, he says, "The oldest reason of all, out of love. Love of one twisted into hatred of others and fueled by enmity." Thundra is still not having it with the voice of the man and wants to break free. She does not care about the threat posed by Unum as much as she cares about having her freedom stolen. She storms off but is suddenly blocked by an invisible barrier created by their captor. She begins to punch it to break free. She is joined by She-Hulk, who does not want to remain contained either. Meanwhile, their captor observes them on a screen and calls them out on their foolishness. It is revealed that he is observing several groups of women across the world, galaxies, and other realities, while everyone is acting foolishly to get away from the captivity. He is revealed to be the Elder, known as Tanalia Tivan, also known as the Collector. Soon, Unum storms into his den. They're furious at the Elder for coming in between Unum and their prey. Unum introduces themselves as one from many and the spawn of enmity, as they attack the Elder with negative energy. Meanwhile, Mantis is able to detect what is happening and asks Quasar to ready her quantum sword. The others from the Skrull ship seem to believe that Quasar knows what she is doing. On the other hand, Thundra keeps punching the barrier from her end, even though her fists are bleeding profusely, and She-Hulk has stopped aiding her with her bronze. However, she does come through with her brains as Shulky asks Valkyrie to use her unbreakable sword Dragon Fang on the barrier. She believes magic will work against alien science. Valkyrie points at the barrier with her sword, while Thundra and She-Hulk grab the sword and use their might to make it pierce the barrier. Their palms bleed, but the blood only makes Dragon Fang stronger. Sue tries her best to open a hole, while Shulky asks Storm to use lightning on the sword once she leaves it. With the combined efforts of all the women from both sides, they strike at the same time and break the barrier. Both groups find themselves with each other, and Shulky reunites with Jacinda. Suddenly, the Collector crashes into the place, as he seems to have been incapacitated from Unum's attack. The fact that Unum can land such a blow on an Elder proves their strength and shows us how the regular superheroes are no match for this entity. Unum follows the Collector in pursuit and is delighted to see all the women they must slay being gathered in one place. In fact, they thank the Collector for collecting so many of these warriors in the same place, making Unum's mission a lot easier. The Lady Liberators, the Skrulls, and the Guardians decide to gang up on Unum, who begins to attack with their negative energy. Even together, they are no match for the opponent. She-Hulk notices how their attack is more like a dogpile versus one being and she tries to ensure that no one gets in another's way during an attack. The uncoordinated effort does come back to bite them later, and we will get into it shortly. However, even at the moment, nothing seems to work against Unum. The Collector comes to She-Hulk and tells her that even their combined effort cannot stop Unum, because Unum is fueled by Enmity's fury. Shulky is unable to understand why the Elder has been referring to Enmity as a person instead of an abstract feeling. Quasar clears the confusion as she mentions how Enmity is not a person, but a cosmic being. She is the offspring of Eternity, who is the abstract entity that embodies Marvel's universe. She is also a part of the Seven Friendless, which is a group of cosmic beings that are comprised of Eternity's children. Enmity's cousin Entropy was the one responsible for driving Quasar's late brother crazy. She-Hulk tries to understand Enmity's motive for using Unum this way, but the Collector calls her out for her lack of understanding of such a being. Enmity does not have a set motive in her mind. Her feelings come from a deep-rooted hatred, which in her case does not stem from a particular reason. Enmity only lives for herself. Meanwhile, Mantis decides to probe into Unum's mind, since strength is nothing against them, and it definitely does not seem to be doing the job. Unum charges to crush Mantis, but Gamora allows herself to get impaled just to make an opening for Mantis. Mantis hops on and takes over Unum's mind. Unum is distraught by Mantis probing into their mind, so they try their best to take down Mantis. She-Hulk rushes in to attack, and so does Quasar. But her previous dialogue about the fight being a dogpile versus one person comes true, as their uncoordinated attacks cause both Mantis and She-Hulk to get impaled by Quasar's quantum sword. Blame poor timing. On the bright side, Unum gets impaled as well. Normally, She-Hulk and Mantis would die, but their circumstances here are far from ordinary, and they find themselves in a strange plane of existence. One where they soon come face to face with the entity of the day, Enmity, or at least her physical manifestation. She-Hulk realizes that Enmity is in her head when Enmity mentions how she is in everyone's head, except Mantis's, for she is without any enmity. She-Hulk asks about Unum, and Enmity confirms Unum's identity as not one person, but as multiple. They were comprised of the minions of powerful beings such as Dormammu, Annihilus, and Magus, among several others. Here, Enmity says they offer up their energy, their devotion, their very lives to their beloved masters. And what do they receive for it? Abuse, humiliation, death, for many of them. And one day, there came a point where, as one, their minds screamed out to me their fury over their cosmic lot in life. They begged me to aid them, and they asked so prettily. How could I refuse? Because of their fury, Enmity merged them into one celestial being, a being brimming with hatred, who would eventually reflect in the glory of Enmity. Because for Enmity, there was nothing purer than the hatred that spawned out of love. In Unum's case, it was the love for their masters. And in a way, the theory is correct. People commit the biggest crimes of hatred for love. Harley Quinn's character and the Uchihas from Naruto are some of the best examples of this in the world of fiction. This brings She-Hulk to the next question. Why was Unum targeting women in particular? The answer was not one that she expected. It was more like a lucky draw, and women came in first. After annihilating the powerful women, Unum would eventually move on to dispose of the men. It was not that deep. She-Hulk wants to know what Enmity gets out of doing this, but she is once again hit in the face by a disappointing answer. The Collector had already explained this before, and we get to see this unfold once again. Enmity enjoys watching the frustrated minions achieve some satisfaction, even though it is from killing people who actually have done nothing to fuel this fury. In fact, Unum is still aiding the wishes of the old masters, even though they are born from their resentment toward those very masters. Meanwhile, Enmity takes part in this and pulls the strings from the grins, while Unum keeps suffering in one abusive partnership after another, being used over and over again, and this is what makes them a lot less villainous and a lot more tragic. Soon, Unum appears in front of them to attack She-Hulk, and the latter tries to hold them off. But she also understands why Unum is mad. They have been used by others for their personal benefit, and the same thing is happening to them all over again. She-Hulk then addresses Unum and tells them how the previous masters at least had a goal in mind, be it their egomania or their thirst for galactic conquest. On the contrary, Enmity was just using them for the fun of it. Enmity finds entertainment from laughing at Unum's pain. There's no actual set motive behind her actions, which makes her a lot worse than Unum's previous masters combined. Enmity acknowledges this, but soon meets Unum's weapon, as Unum rebels against their mistreatment. She is impaled by the very being she created and begins to screech, calling them ungrateful. Soon, a huge flash of light consumes the two of them as Enmity's physical body is destroyed alongside Unum's, and the crisis comes to an end. The injured female warriors are then healed and subsequently returned to their homes by the Collector. What makes Unum such a fearsome foe? Unum being an amalgamation of several villains who served some of the most powerful Marvel villains, basks in abnormal amounts of strength. This, combined with their ability to harness negative energy, makes them an untouchable foe. In fact, even the Collector could not harm Unum. Unum's weapon of choice, an axe, made matters worse for the others as it helped the being channel the beams of negative energy. Unum's name alone gives away their identity. You just have to trace it back to the Latin phrase on the seal of the United States, E pluribus unum. It translates to out of many, one, as it refers to how several things can come together and combine into a single concept. That's exactly how Unum was birthed. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.